Welcome back to the Challenger Podcast. I'm Dave Glaser in Fort Collins, Colorado, and today we're going one layer deeper than the last two episodes. Because once you know what the right workout is that you choose, the right nutrition approach that works for you, the right structure for your personality, and you still don't follow through, that's not strategy anymore, that's belief. And the underlying challenge here that you may face is a limiting belief. Every Enneagram type has a core story that they tell about themselves, usually unconsciously, that keeps them from reaching their goals in life, love, work, and fitness. Today, we're naming those stories, not to shame them, but to disarm them. Let's dig in. Type 1, the reformer, their limiting belief is generally centralized around, if I can't do it perfectly, it's not worth doing. Type 1s don't fail because they lack discipline. They stall because their standards are so high that starting feels risky. How it shows up is waiting for the right plan, abandoning progress after one mistake, constant self-criticism along the way. And the truth that I want you to hear today, if you're a type 1, is progress doesn't require moral purity. And if that lands with you, please don't hesitate to reach out. I know that can be very confronting at this time. Let's move on to type 2, the helper. Their limiting belief generally shows up as, my needs come last. 2s know what to do, they just don't give themselves permission to do it. And how it shows up in fitness and nutrition is skipping workouts for others' priorities and needs, eating what everyone else wants. Let's say you're out at a restaurant and everybody wants chips, salsa, guac, queso, chorizo in the queso, etc. You're going to go with the flow. You're going to go around to get around is the phrase that comes up. And then finally, you're going to sometimes feel guilt around prioritizing yourself. The truth you need to hear today is you don't earn worth by neglecting yourself. Putting yourself first for 1 hour, 3 to 4 times a week will help you get to those fitness and nutrition goals. Let's talk about the type 3, the achiever. And their limiting belief, it typically is, if I slow down, I'll fall behind. 3s mistake rest for weakness and effort for identity. And how it shows up in limiting beliefs is overworking, not prioritizing workouts, burnout cycles, they go too hard too fast, and measuring self-worth by outcomes. And the truth I want you to hear as a type 3 is you are valuable even when you're not producing. Even at rest, you have inherent worth. Type 4, the individualist, has a limiting belief that shows up sometimes obviously, sometimes not. And they believe that something is missing in me. 4s don't lack the ability. They struggle with consistency when emotions fluctuate. And how it shows up in fitness and nutrition is motivation is based on mood. They romanticize the struggle and they're waiting to feel ready, much like the type 1, but for different reasons. And the truth I want you to hear as a type 4 today is consistency doesn't erase depth, it creates it. And what depth can you create through consistent fitness workout routines? Type 5, the investigator, which I can relate to a lot when I'm not at my best and my limiting belief is showing up. The type 5 investigator's limiting belief typically is, I don't have enough time, energy, or resources to know all that I need to know to be successful. Absolutely not true. 5s hold back because they fear depletion, the run out, the burnout. And how it shows up is they spend their time doing endless research, which leads to delayed action and minimal engagement, which is why a community is a really good thing for 5s to be in. A truth I want you to hear that may be hard to take is action creates capacity, not the other way around. And that action is not research. You don't need to digest every step of the program before you get started. Action creates capacity, not the other way around. A loyalist, the type 6, typically has a limiting belief of, what if this goes wrong? 6s don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because doubt erodes momentum. And you can see how that would show up in holding them back from getting to their fitness goals. How it shows up is typically overthinking, plan hopping, and seeking reassurance instead of progress. When you seek reassurance instead of evaluating your own effort, you can oftentimes be held back by this limiting belief as a type 6. And the truth I want you to hear and really sit with today is courage is acting without certainty. What is it that is so important about certainty that prevents you from starting a workout program? Type 7, the enthusiast, they typically have a limiting belief that says, if it feels limiting, I'll be trapped. Sevens equate commitment with loss of freedom in every area of their life, and especially in fitness and nutrition. How this shows up is starting strong, quitting early, avoiding discomfort, chasing novelty instead of depth. And the truth I want you to hear as a type 7 today is that freedom grows through discipline, not avoidance. For all my type 8, the challengers out there, like me, our limiting belief typically is, if I let my guard down, I'll lose control. We 8s are powerful, but oftentimes armored up. How this shows up in a fitness and nutrition program is we ignore pain or limits. We resist help, and we push past those warning signs that could lead to an injury that keeps us off the mat, out of the gym, not performing at our peak. And then lastly, something I need to hear today, and hopefully my 8s hear this as well. Vulnerability is not weakness, it's strategic strength. And I can definitely relate to this little section here in our episode today, because coming back from a knee scope in December, I am itching and anxious to get back on the mat and train at a high level like I could last year. Prior to my October injury, I was performing at a very high level. It was getting very exciting. I was training for a local grappling industries tournament and considering competing in the Worlds in August. But unfortunately, I did not make that happen and ran into an injury. And now getting back from a recovery, it's slower going than I would like. And I'm sharing that to name vulnerability is not weakness, it's strategic strength. So I see my PT once a week. They provide me extra exercises I can do in the basement gym. And getting back to regular, consistent exercise is feeling like strategic strength recently. And let's close out our episode today with type 9, the peacemaker. Their limiting belief typically shows up as my actions don't really matter. 9s struggle not because they can't do hard things, but because they downplay their impact. And how it shows up in a fitness and nutrition routine is typically procrastination or avoidance and letting life happen to them rather than going out and capturing life like an 8 or a 3 or a 2 or even a 7. And the truth that I want you to hear today as a peacemaker is your presence changes outcomes. Start small. Start with a yoga session and then move to yoga sculpt and then move to hot yoga. And your presence at yoga, which is typically a mindful exercise, your presence there can lead to consistency, leading you to step into a new community, empowering you and giving you permission to own your actions. And that's what I want the 9 to face today. And in closing, here's the big takeaway today. Your biggest obstacle isn't your pain. It's the story you tell yourself about why you can't follow it. Once you name that belief, it loses its power. What belief did you hear today that showed up most, that gave you a little bit of hesitation or resistance? I want you to name that belief and therefore causing it to lose its power. You don't need more motivation. You need self-awareness plus action. And if this episode felt like it called you out, good. That's where growth starts. That's the edge that we speak of. As always, challenge yourself, understand yourself, and stop letting unconscious beliefs run your life. Until next week, wishing you health and happiness wherever you're at in the world. This is Dave Glaser, and if any of this resonated with you, please reach out today. We will work through your limiting belief together so that you can reach your fitness and nutrition goals early in 2026 rather than later. Talk to you soon.